Yes, hello everyone. How are you, students? I hope you are fine. Yes. So, in the last video, we have studied about significant figures. So, today we are going to study about errors, different types of errors which are used in the measurements. Okay, so today our topic is errors. So, there are different types of errors. Firstly, we will understand what is a error. So error comes when we measure something. If we measure a value, it comes through the measurement. So we are having many devices for measuring the values of different things. In the lab also we have seen many instruments. So every instrument has some error when we measure because it cannot give accurate value to us. Okay, so the difference between the true value or we can say actual value and the measured value is known as error. So the error occurs there. So we have different types of errors here. First is absolute error. Okay. So absolute error is the difference between true value or actual value and the measured value of a quantity. So we can write it is magnitude of difference between true value, or we can write it as actual value So the difference between true value and measured value of a quantity. It is termed as absolute error, right? For the absolute error, we have to find the true value, right? This is the true value. So how we will calculate the true value? It is mean value. So we all know how to find the mean of some values. Suppose we can take, let a quantity can be expressed. So it is measured n times, right? ओके तो हमने क्या किया है, एक क्वांटिटी ली है, कोई भी क्वांटिटी जिसको हमने बहुत बार मेजर किया है. सपोज हमने उसको n टाइम्स मेजर किया है. अगर हमने उसको n टाइम्स मेजर किया है तो वी हैव सम मेजरमेंट्स एंड दोज मेजरमेंट्स विल बी like x1, x2, x3 and so on. These are the measurements. So how we will find the true value for these measurements, or we can write it as mean value. Okay, so we can denote it by mean value xm, or we can write it as x, or we can write it as x bar. So in many books it is written as x bar. Okay, so it will be the mean value. So you have to find the mean value. We know the formula of mean value is sum of observations divided by total number of observations. So we can write sum of all measurements here divided by total number of observations. Total number of observations is n here. Okay, so this is how we find these. So if we have to find the values, so these are the absolute errors, right? So how we can find them? Difference between actual and measured value. So firstly for x1 we can write it as delta. Delta symbol is used for the error. Delta x1 will be x minus x1. Delta x2 will be x minus x2. delta x3 will be x minus x3. This x is the mean or actual value. Okay, so up to delta xn, it will be x minus xn. So this is how we find the absolute errors. So if we have measure value greater than x, suppose here x3 is greater than x, so delta x3 will be negative, and suppose here x is greater than x1, then delta x1 will be positive. So the absolute errors can be positive as well as negative. So from here we can write absolute errors can be positive as well as negative. Okay, so this is the first type of error, absolute errors. Now we can find second type of errors. This is mean absolute error. Mean absolute error. So as the name is suggesting, we have to find mean of all the absolute errors. Okay, so it is noted by delta x, or you can write it as delta x bar. It is equal to magnitude of all the absolute errors. So delta x1 magnitude, delta x2 magnitude, delta x3 magnitude, and so on, delta xn magnitude, divided by total number n. So how mean absolute error is calculated? It is the sum of observations, means sum of absolute errors divided by total number of observations. Okay, the third type of error is relative error. Okay, the third type of error is relative error, or you can write it as fractional error. Okay, so how we will calculate fractional error? As the name is suggesting, it is the fraction. So it is the fraction of mean absolute error divided by it is mean absolute error delta x divided by mean value. So it will be delta x by x. Okay, now the fourth one is percentage error. As the name is suggesting, it is percentage error. So it is fractional error multiply by 100. How we calculate percentage? Multiply by 100. So it will be delta x by x multiply 100. Okay, so these are all types of errors. Let us do one question, for example, where we will calculate all these errors. Okay, yes. So for example, we are taking a question. For example, suppose we have a different measurements of a length of rod. Okay, so the length of rod measurements are as follows. It can be 4.2, 4.5, 4.4, 4.3, 4.6. These all are in centimeters. So these are the measurements of a length of rod. So we have to calculate all the errors. So firstly, we have to calculate the mean value. Second, we have to calculate the absolute error. Third, we have to calculate the mean absolute error. Okay. Fourth, we have to find the fractional error, or you can say relative error. And the fifth, we have to find the percentage error. Okay. So let us start the solution. So the different measurements are given, means x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5 are given to us. So firstly, we have to calculate the mean value. How will you calculate the mean value? Mean value is calculated as x, it will be x1 plus x2 plus x3 up to xn divided by n. This is the formula of mean value. So we will sum up all the values: 4.2, 4.5, 4.4 plus 4.3 plus 4.6. These are the 5 observations here, 5 measurements divided by total number of observations, it is 5. Okay. So how will you calculate it? You have to sum all the values. It is 4.2 plus 4.5 plus 4.4 plus you have to add 4.3 plus 4.6. How much it is coming? After adding all the values, we are getting 22. So you have to divide 22 by 5. How much it is coming? It is 4.4. So this is the mean value. Okay. This is the answer of first one. Right. Now we have to calculate the absolute error. Absolute error is delta x1 we have to find. It will be x minus x1. So x is 4.4 and x1 is 4.2. So 4.4 minus 4.2, it will be 0.2. Delta x2, x minus x2. 4.4 minus 4.5, it will be minus 0.1. Delta x3, it will be x minus x3. 4.4 minus 4.4, it is 0.0. Delta x4, x minus x4. 4.4 minus 4.3, it will be 0.1. Delta x5, x minus x5, it will be 4.4 minus 4.6, it will be minus 0.2. So these are the answers of the absolute error. Now you have to calculate in the third part mean absolute error. How will you calculate mean absolute error? You have to sum all these divided by 5. So magnitude divided by 5. So it is delta x1, delta x2 and so on, delta xn divided by n. So how will you calculate? It is 0.2 minus 0.1, 0, 0.1 minus 0.2. So mod is there. You have to divide by 5. So how much you are getting from here? 0.2 plus 0.1 is 0.3, 1 0.4 and 2 0.6. It will be 0.6 divided by 5. Right? So divide this 0.6 divided by 5. It will be 0.12. Correct? So this is the mean absolute error. Fourth part, we have to calculate fractional error. How will you calculate fractional error? Fractional error is delta x divided by x. This is the formula. So what is delta x here? You can write it in significant figures. As we have studied, this is 0.6. So we can write it as one significant figure also. It will be 0.1. So final answer will be 0.1 here. Okay, so this is delta x. Now you can write delta x 0.1, and what is x? In the first part we have find 4.4. Okay, so now you have to divide 0.1 divided by 4.4. How much we are getting? You can remove the point. It will be 1 divided by 44. Okay, so you have to divide 1 divided by 44. It will be 0.02272, like this. Okay, last part is percentage error. Percentage error is fractional error into 100, means delta x by x multiply by 100. Okay, so how will you calculate this? 0.02272 multiply 100. This is the same, na? You have to find. So percentage error will be, you have to multiply. It will be 2.272 percentage. So this will be the percentage error here. So from here we can say that the instrument used in measuring the length of a rod measurements, so it has an error of 2.272%, because I have said already every instrument has some error, so these are measured by some instrument. Yes. Okay, so the topic is clear. Yes, so we have studied the types of errors here. So there were many types of errors. The types of errors were absolute error, mean absolute error, fractional error, and percentage error. Okay, so in the next video we will study about the propagation of errors. Thank you.